Zell is a town in the Cochem-Zell district in Rhineland-Palatinate, Germany. Zell has roughly 4,300 inhabitants and is the seat of the like-named Verbandsgemeinde. Geography. Location: Zell is an hour's drive from both Koblenz and Trier, more or less halfway between these two cities. The nearest town going towards Koblenz is Cochem, and the nearest two going towards Trier are Treben, Trebach and Bernkastel-Kues. To both Frankfurt-Hahn Airport on the Hunsrück and the spa town of Bad Bertrich in the Voreifel it is half an hour's drive. The parts of town lying on the river, the Old Town, Kaimt and Mosel, are at an elevation of roughly 100 meters above sea level on a remarkable bow in the river Mosel, known as the Zellerham. Constituent communities. On the Mosel's right bank lie the Old Town and the Stadtteil of Mosel. Up in the Hunsrück lies the smaller Stadtteil Althaus, which is right at the town limit, next to Telle. West of the Mosel, in a dale, lies Kaimt, as does Bâle, whose elevation is 100 meters higher. History. Zell was founded by the Romans sometime later than AD 70. The outlying center of Kaimt had its first documentary mention in 732 or 733. In 1222, Zell was granted town rights. Beginning in 1332, it was an electoral Trier town and until 1794 the seat of an electoral Trier Obrim. With the occupation of the Rhine's left bank by French revolutionary troops in 1794, the town became French. In 1814 Zell was assigned to the Kingdom of Prussia at the Congress of Vienna. Fires in 1848 and 1857 destroyed a great deal of the old town. Since 1946, the town has been part of the then newly founded state of Rhineland-Palatinate. In 1950 came the amalgamation of Kaimt. Until 1969, Zell was the district seat of the now abolished district of the same name. In the course of administrative restructuring in Rhineland-Palatinate, this was merged with the neighboring district to form the district of Cochem-Zell, whose seat is at Cochem. Along with the loss of the district seat also came the loss of many other centers of authority and various other institutions. On the 7th of June 1969 came the amalgamation of Mosel. The town has also distinguished itself with the establishment of many businesses, particularly in the outlying center of Bâle up in the heights. Politics. Town Council. The council is made up of 20 council members, who are elected by proportional representation at the municipal election held on the 7th of June 2009, and the honorary mayor as chairman. The municipal election held on the 7th of June 2009 yielded the following results. Mayor Hans Schwarz has been Zell's mayor since 2009. His deputies are Karl Weiss Jr., Bettina Salzmann and Therese Joe. Coat of arms. The town's arms might be described thus: argent across gills, index to chief, two keys per cross, the wards turned outwards and to chief and dexter azure, and in sinister base the same reversed. The red cross refers to the town's historical relation with the Archbishop of Trier and the Elector of Trier. The keys are St. Peter's attribute, thus representing the town's and the church's patron saint. Also, the once stood on the Petersburger church consecrated to St. Peter. Town partnerships. Zell fosters partnerships with the following places: Creux-Pyn Valois, Huast, France; Antoing, Hainaut, Belgium; Triptis, Saale-Orla-Kreis, Thuringia; culture and sightseeing. Theatre group Cats. Museums. The town hall houses a local history museum with many exhibits from the town's history, wine growing and traditional crafts. Buildings. The following are listed buildings for sites in Rhineland-Palatinate's Directory of Cultural Monuments: Zell, St. Peter's and St. Paul's Catholic Church, Balduinstrasse, Halle, Palace Church, 1786 to 1792. Town wall, 6th floor, back term, converted to a gate tower in 1899. Inside the tower a Heiligenhausen, Pier tower, 18th century. Before the tower a graveyard. Wayside cross marked 1741, 3 grave crosses marked 1632, 1643 and 1805, as well as 3-floor Pulverturm, tail cupola after 1689. On Hauptstrasse remnants of a gateway arch. Im Bahnhof 1 old railway station, building with half-hipped roof, partly timber frame, 1-floor timber frame additions, tower, about 1900. At Balduinstrasse 23 richly sculpted portal walls, about 1910. Balduinstrasse 32 3-floor plastered building, 1849, with 9 late Gothic tracery windows. Balduinstrasse 44 Town Hall, 2-winged brick building, corner tower, 1881. Balduinstrasse 69 3-floor Gothic Revival plastered building, about 1900. Balduinstrasse 105 3-floor late historicist plastered building, Romanesque Revival and Baroque Revival, about 1910. Brandenburg 32 brick villa with hipped roof, Renaissance Revival, 1896 to 1897. At Corre 4 Headsman's Cross marked 1782. Before Corre 13 Johannsbrunnen. Corre 20 late historicist brick building, partly timber frame, mansard roof, about 1900. Corre 51 plastered building, about 1910 20ths. Cuxborn 8 3-floor timber frame house, partly solid, plastered, marked 1770. Pier tower, Jakobstrasse old graveyard, crossed 19th century, whole complex. Marktstrasse, corner of Balduinstrasse, Schwarze Katz Fountain, basalt, 1936. Between Mosel Promenade 29 and 33 gate-like linking bridge, Baroque Revival plastered building, marked 1904-08. Mosel Promenade 34 Electoral Trier Castle House, 3-floor timber frame and solid building, staircases, marked 1532. On the Mosel side 3-floor solid building, 16th century. At Römerstrasse 48 hearth heating plate, 15th century. Römerstrasse 64 3-floor late historicist timber frame house, partly solid, half-hipped roof, staircase tower, early 20th century. Schlossstrasse 8/10 former palatial residence, late Gothic 2-winged building with polygonal corner turrets, 1530 to 1542. Architect possibly F. Kaufmann, expanded in 16th and 17th centuries. Whole complex. At Schlossstrasse 10 former synagogue, 1-floor plastered building, marked 1849, late Gothic portal. Schlossstrasse 12 former post office, 3-floor expressionist building with half-hipped roof, staircase tower on Jakobstrasse, plastered building, 1920s. Schlossstrasse 27 classicist plastered building, 1st/4th of the 19th century. Schlossstrasse 36 finance office, 4-floor plastered building, 1920s. Schlossstrasse 42 former Krashaus, 3-winged building, 1920-1930. Schlossstrasse 61 former evangelical rectory, Baroque Revival building with mansard roof, about 1910. At Schlossstrasse 71 cast iron coat of arms, graveyard, Gothic Revival graveyard chapel, about 1900. Heiligenhausen, 19th to 20th century, Stations of the Cross, 18th century, 2 grave crosses, 18th century, Warriors Memorial, 1920s, Family Fears Tomb, Gothic Revival pinnacle, 1882 and years following, Gothic Revival niche figure of St. Peter, Colosseum, brick lookout tower with cupola, about 1906. KAIMT St. James the Greater's Catholic Parish Church. Pfalzgasse 27 late Romanesque tower with Baroque portal. Baalstrasse 7 timber frame house partly solid, balloon frame, half-hipped roof, late 16th century, timber frame addition, 16th century. Boos von Waldeckstrasse 1 Boos von Waldeck estate, timber frame house partly solid, balloon frame, marked 1551. Portal 1620, at the side Baroque pavilion, barn, garden, wall with coat of arms, whole complex. Clemensgasse 4 timber frame house, partly solid, 16th century. Pfalzgasse 5 timber frame house, partly solid, possibly from the 16th century. Planterstrasse wayside chapel inside, relief as well as Madonna, 18th century. Near Planterstrasse 5 wayside cross marked 1731. St. Maximeinhof 1 half street. Maximans Abbey estate, two-winged building with half-hipped roof, 18th century. Coat of arms 1575. Abbots Matthias von Saarburg's and Willibald Schaefer's coats of arms. No. 2 portal, marked 166, coat of arms. Marienburg Convent, late Gothic choir, 14th century, exaggerated in Baroque style and expanded into a tower, ruin expanded again in 1952 to 1957. Wayside Chapel, brick Arles Church, marked 1886, Wayside Cross. Merle former monastery, Klosterweg 4, 5, 7, 13 to 17 Klosterweg 4, timber frame house, half-hipped roof, essentially from the 16th century. Klosterweg 5, 7, 13 to 17 monastery buildings. West wing, Baroque building with mansard roof, Baroque portal. North wing, buildings with half-hipped roofs, essentially possibly from the 16th of 17th century. Converted east wing, oldest part with chapter house with tracery windows above in the dormitory, crossbar windows. Church, Catholic Parish Church, Klosterweg, a former church of the conventual Franciscan monastery. Arles Church, late 13th century, marked 1490 and 1728. Outside, figure of Michael, figure of a Benedictine, Baroque tomb slab. Missionary cross, 1863. Alte Kirchgasse 1 3-floor plastered building, partly timber frame, Mosel style, about 1910. Alte Kirchgasse 2 3-floor timber frame house, partly solid, balloon frame, 16th century, timber frame addition, 18th century. In the back tower remnants. Hauptstrasse railway station, quarry stone building, partly timber frame, tower. Hauptstrasse 32 timber frame house, partly solid, balloon frame, dendrochronologically dated to 1478 plus or minus 5 years. Side wing, timber frame, partly solid, crow-stepped gable, 16th century. Hauptstrasse 34 timber frame house, partly quarry stone, possibly from the 13th century, timber framing about 1480. At Hauptstrasse 44 coat of arms, marked 1731. Hauptstrasse 52 3-floor quarry stone building, hipped roof, mid-19th century. In Spa 25 late Gothic timber frame house, partly solid, plastered, half-hipped roof, marked 1518. In Spa 48 timber frame house, partly solid, plastered, 16th of 17th century. Kapellenweg 1 timber frame house, partly solid, 18th century. Kirchkehr, Friedhof, Romanesque tower, 5-floor plastered building, relief, 13th century. Grave cross, 1886. Cast iron graveyard cross, 1863. Whole complex. Müllerstrasse, Heiligenhausen, inside Pietar, possibly from the 18th century. Müllerstrasse 24 brick building, late 19th century. Müllerstrasse 45 villa, quarry stone entrance loggia and corner oriel turret, Art Nouveau, early 20th century. Feuergasse 1 building with mansard roof, about 1910. Rautzgasse 2 building with hipped mansard roof, partly quarry stone and timber frame, about 1900. Rohrgasse 2 3-floor timber frame house, partly solid, balloon frame, dendrochronologically dated to 1542-1543. Zandstrasse, Heiligenhausen, inside late Gothic Man of Sorrows, 16th century. Zandstrasse, New School, Baroque Revival plastered building, 1910-1920. Zandstrasse, Hauptstrasse, 3-floor building with hipped roof, marked 1767, essentially older, corner of Michaelsgasse, timber frame house, partly solid, essentially from the 17th century. Hauptstrasse 58/60th, Sekt Winery, quarry stone buildings, late 19th century. Winery building, 20th century, commercial wing, quarry stone, 18th, 19th century, timber frame barn, whole complex. Zandstrasse 17 timber frame house, partly solid, half-hipped roof, marked 1685 and 1686, timber frame addition 18th century. Zandstrasse 20 building with mansard roof, 18th century, essentially possibly older. Zandstrasse 21, Hauptstrasse 38, former Springer's back estate, Baroque plastered building, marked 1754, winery building, plastered building, 18th century, garden with pavilions, whole complex of buildings including new building on Hauptstrasse. Zandstrasse 46 timber frame house, plastered, 18th century, altered. Zandstrasse 70 residential tower, crow-stepped gable, apparently from 1328, remodeled in Baroque. Zandstrasse 77/79, called Klappenberg, former castle house, coats of arms of the houses of Metzenhausen and of Line, marked 1720, 3-floor solid building, staircase tower, corner oriel turret, essentially possibly from the 16th century, 2-floor building with hipped mansard roof, whole complex. Zandstrasse 82 timber frame house, partly solid, balloon frame, marked 1632, dendrochronologically dated to 1442-1443, whole complex. Zandstrasse 90 timber frame house, partly solid, balloon frame, 16th century. Zandstrasse 92 94th timber frame house, partly solid, balloon frame, 16th century. Zandstrasse, corner of Klosterweg, old school, 9-axis quarry stone building, mid-19th century. Way of the Cross with chapel, north of the village, Gothic Revival chapel, stations with metal reliefs. Churches. St. Peter's Catholic Parish Church in Zell has a reliquary shrine from the time between 1180 and 1190 from Limoges with a container for St. Peter's bones. The Madonna figure in the left side altar comes from the 15th century. The baptismal font on the right side in the choir bears the year date 1576. St. Peter's has a high altar and a crucifixion group. A further point of note is an impressive baldachin much like the one at the Church of Our Lady in Trier. In the outlying centre of Kaimt, the new parish church, St. James's, was built about 1968. The old church tower was preserved. It was the Palatine chapel of the former electoral Trier archiepiscopal estate in Kaimt. Inside is a stone endowment document, the oldest ecclesiastical attestation of the town of Zell, from about 1200, with the oldest depiction of a winemaker. There are a side altar and a tabernacle with a Christ torso from the 13th to 14th century, the time of transition from Romanesque to Gothic, probably of the Riemenschneider school. In the outlying centre of Merle stands St. Michael's Parish Church, until 1805 the Franciscan Monastery Church. The church on the thoroughfare near the Mosel has on the high altar an Antwerp table, from about 1520. The sacristy was built with one support, to a nearly square floor plan. In the parish hall, remnants of medieval wall paintings have been preserved, and the old dormitory's roof frame in the monastery wing, which is not open to the public, is said to be one of the few medieval roof constructions still preserved in Germany. The old Romanesque St. Michael's Parish Church, a hall church, was torn down in 1823 after the monastery church was taken over. The old Romanesque tower stood preserved on today's graveyard in Merle. Religion: the greater part of the population is Roman Catholic. In second place is the evangelical faith. Regular events: Weinfest der Zelle-Schwarze-Katz, always on the last weekend in June, one of the first wine festivals of the year along the Mosel. Hahnenkaffe in Zell, St. Jacobus Weinkirmes in Zell Kamt, last weekend in July. Weinfest in Zell Merle, second weekend in August. Keltisches Weingelage in Zell Kamt, last weekend in August. Roma Strassenfest, mid-August. Strassenfest der Zellerturmschützen, second weekend in September. Public wine tasting at the community hall. Roman wine revelry, third weekend in September. Advent markets every first and second weekend in Advent. Kappensitzungen and Rosenmontage Samstag from Zell Kamt to Zell Mosel. Clubs: Zell has the following clubs: KKGE, V. Zell Mosel, Verkehrs- und Heimatverein, Gewerbeverein, Aktivkreis Stadtgestaltung, Rude Verein, Tennis Club, Stützpunkt für der Zell, Town of Zell Mosel Volunteer Fire Brigade, Zell Volunteer Fire Brigade. Junggessellenverein Merle 1857 e.V. Merle Weinfreund, Orchestervereinigung der Stadt Zell, V. Windsor Tanzgruppe Zell, V. Zellerturmschützen e.V. Kolpingsfamilie Zell. Sport and leisure: Zell has the following sport and leisure facilities: adventure pool, sports stadium, rowing clubhouse, tennis courts, miniature golf course, bowling alley, campground, caravan parks, Collis Via Ferrata. Hiking: the lookout tower on the Prinzenkopf offers a panoramic view of all Zell's centers and also of Pundrich, Bulle and the Marienburg. Economy and infrastructure: wine growing. To a considerable extent, Zell is characterized by wine growing, and with 331 hectares of planted vineyards is also, after Piersport, the biggest wine growing center in the Mosel wine region. Traditionally, it is mostly Riesling that is grown here. Known far beyond the local area is the Zelle-Schwarze-Katz. Wine growing, furthermore, also furnishes the groundwork for another industry, tourism, which is also of great economic importance. Zell is, among other things, the seat of the winemaker Zimmermann Grafen Amp-Müller. Industry: Zell is home to Zellerplastik, an important employer. ZP's importance lies in injection molding of plastic closures and packaging components. It is a member of the group Global Closure Systems, a worldwide network of businesses that work in plastics. The daughter company Zeller Engineering makes injection molding equipment, trade and crafts in the outlying center of Basel. Many retail businesses with large floor areas have set up shop. Among them, the main one is the Globus Handelshof with an adjoining building center. Besides this, many mid-size wholesale and retail businesses, as well as craft businesses, are located here. Transport: the town's link to the Deutsche Bahn railway network with intercity and intercity express services through the station in the neighboring municipality of Bulle on the Koblenz-Trier line, about 7 kilometers away. The station lies on the Koblenz-Trier-Saarbrücken-Luxembourg IC line. There are Bundesstraße connections, too, both north-south and east-west. There are landing stages for international water transport on the Mosel, and Frankfurt-Hahn Airport is roughly a half-hour's drive away. Public institutions offices: Verbandsgemeinde-Zell administration, Zell Financial Office, Education Bus von Waldeck Grundschule, Hauptschule, Realschule, Mosel Hamschule, Ig.Zell. Famous people, honorary citizens: Georg Weimer, Randy Zeller, sons and daughters of the town: Karl Hams, opera singer and fighter pilot; Klaus Brehm, winemaker and politician; Peter Erwin Janssen, publicist; Mirko Kasper, professional footballer; Mumford Sondheimer, winemaker and socialite. Famous people associated with the town: Maria Rees, writer, journalist and member of the Reichstag, died in Zell.